Good, Neil?
We're good. I'm good to go.
Let's do it, man. Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Stochastic.com NFL Showdown live before lock. Yo, what better way? And I say this, it will jinx it without question. This will be a terrible game, but what better way to close out week one? A little divisional rivalry action. Bills, Jets, Aaron Rodgers at home to debut in the white and green. Is that what they call it out there? I don't know. I know there's some weather in that. Yeah, I don't know. Weather in that game. Man, it's going to be fun, though. 44.5 point total. This has come down considerably over the last few days, as I think rightfully so. Two good defensive squads, two good offenses, too, but the Bills laying 2.5 on the road. This should be fun. I'm Dave Loughran at Loughran_D on the X, formerly Twitter. LOUGHY_D. Joined by Neil. You're not going to do it. Joined by Neil Orfield at PlayerQ DFS. Follow him as well. What were you saying there?
I'm not on the X, but you can find me on Twitter at PlayerQ DFS.
Dude, you'll transition soon enough. Soon.
We'll see, Lofty.
Soon, Twitter will be memory hold, and it will just be.
Yeah, you're probably right. To be honest, like eventually, if everybody else starts calling it the X, I'm going to start calling it the X too, inevitably.
But here's the thing: it's X, but I'm not comfortable with it. Like if I'm going to do it, I'm going to right. You got to go. With
sounds
D,
too like
right?
pornographic to you.
No, it's just I don't like. No,
okay.
No.
Just not.
Although shout
enough.
out to X videos, but no, it's. All I'm saying is that the X just sounds better. Like if you go,
it sounds way better. Yeah.
I posted on X today, or I posted on the X. That just sounds cool.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah. I could buy into the X. Okay. I'm with you.
The X isn't bad, but you got to add the.
Yeah.
And then we're in business. Anyway, happy to have you guys here. Take a single second as you walk in the door. I get the virtual door, we'll call it. And hit that thumbs up, atone for your sins on a Monday night, subscribe to the channel, helps us. You know what? Maybe we're going to get to 100,000 subs by the time the season lets out. You know how sick that would be,
That'd
Neil?
be so cool. What are we at? Are we at 91,000 yet?
We're almost at 90,000.
Almost at 90. Okay. So we got to work ahead of us.
And I think the Odd Shopper channel is at like 84,000.
No way.
We just started that like, dude, I don't know, 2 NFL seasons ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So we're moving. Thanks to you guys. If you haven't subscribed yet to Stochastic or to the Odd Shopper channel and you like the content, don't subscribe just to help us. But if you like the content and you want to see more and also maybe help us reach those incredible milestones, that would be appreciated. How you feeling tonight, man? Fun game ahead of us. Yeah,
this is a tough one. I mean, I agree with you. It's a very fun game. I feel better about this one than either of the past 2 showdown slates that I've had to do, which was you and I did the Chiefs game where it was like there are 7 Chiefs potential wide receivers, and then last night the same thing with the Giants. It's like, man, this is just such a mess. I feel better about this one. Like I feel like we know the pecking orders a little bit better, or like at least we have like condensed fields a little bit. It's a fun slate.
It is. Man, I spent a lot of time going through like all backfield splits and snap counts.
I saw that. Putting in work today.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it was? I was like, I'm going to do this anyway because it helps me with the shows. It's good to have that type of insight. Like, I'll create a thread. I did one for each team. Twitter, this has never happened to me before. Twitter wouldn't allow me to create any more posts on a thread. So
did they give you like an error message or what happened?
No, you just can't hit add anymore. It just blanks out.
I had no idea that that's a thing. I feel like I've seen threads that are like 68.
I thought so too. I guess not. Or they don't like me. Anyway, let's talk some football. We got a fun game from Garrett Wilson to Stephon Diggs to this backfield situation in New York. I'd even add the backfield situation in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Damian Harris snipe off some of those goal line looks. We'll talk about it. And how about Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox? What are we going to do there, Neil? We'll kick it off at quarterback, though, and work our way through the positions. The sidebar and the positions are just a guideline for us. If we stray a little bit and talk game theory and strategy, it's probably more beneficial to you if we find some good talking points and run with that because we only have an hour to make this happen. But At quarterback, it's Josh Allen, and then it's Aaron Rodgers. It was crazy, man. I was looking through something yesterday. I don't know where I came across this. It was just like one of those simple charts to show how many, where a quarterback finished from week to week each week. Like, QB1, QB5. I think Aaron Rodgers was outside of the top 5 all but one game, and outside of the top 10 at quarterbacks in all but 2 games or something like that.
Wow.
But you have Garrett Wilson now. That's huge. He brought Lazard over with him and Cobb for whatever that's worth. The backfield looks good. I think you could see a different Aaron Rodgers this year. I really do.
Yeah, I've been counting on it. I've been like all offseason in best ball invested in this offense. I think that they could be really good. It's obviously not the best matchup to start for the Jets against this Bills defense. It's not like ideal, but and with the weather especially, like it's not the best starting place. But like I do think Aaron Rodgers maybe plays a little bit faster here than he played in Green Bay. Always played at a really slow pace in Green Bay. Unclear if that was like a Rodgers decision or a coaching decision. I think based on preseason, it seemed like he's still going to be playing slow. So that kind of is a bummer to me. I was kind of hoping he would come to New York and immediately like pick up the pace of play a little bit faster at the very least. Maybe that's still coming. But weird that he decided to bring on Cobb and Lazard, like needed to bring those guys over. I feel like he should have just stuck with Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. But hey, I'm not Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be a big part of my teams today. If I'm playing him in the captain spot, I'm playing him with at least 2 pass catchers in the flex. If I'm playing him in the flex spot, I play him with at least 1 Jets pass catcher somewhere in my lineup. But yeah, he's going to be probably my second highest exposed player after Josh Allen.
On the slate,
yeah.
Okay. How easy of a time, and I could say Matt Gajeski and I built a lineup out on the strategy show this morning, right here on the channel if you're unfamiliar with it. But we had talked about it, and it wasn't that hard to do. There are some decent punts, especially if you're trying to go all the way to the bottom with like a Deontay Hardy or something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have a lot of cheap receivers. So we have Garrett Wilson at the top, Stephon Diggs at the top, and then it's a big drop down to Gabe Davis, Allen Lazard as the wide receivers too. But I really like, the wide receivers 3 and 4. Like these are teams that are going to use a lot of receivers. So I don't mind playing some Mecole Hardman, Randall Cobb, Khalil Shakir even. But as you said, Deontay Hardy being the starting receiver at 200 is very, very tempting. Trent Sherfield at 200 as well should get some runs. So like we've got a lot of cheap options to pair with these quarterbacks. So it's honestly, I think fairly easy to get the quarterbacks in there. And then of course, throw in the tight ends being kind of mid-level prices also. Yeah, I think that it's pretty easy to build with 2 quarterbacks today.
Yeah, it's I'll tell you this much. It's easier than I thought it would be, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just so I looked at every showdown slate from last season with a minimum first place prize of at least 500,000. So there were 36 of them, not a huge sample size, but I thought it was kind of interesting. I brought this up last night as well, but there was only one slate all of last year that had a quarterback in the captain spot and also had a quarterback in the flex. There were several that had 2 quarterbacks in the flex, but there was only one winning lineup in all of the 36 slates last year that had a quarterback in the captain spot along with the quarterback in the flex, which that's not that small of a number. That's, one in like 30 some.
That's pretty small. That's pretty small though.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty small, but it's like a 3% chance of hitting. So
right.
If you're building out 150 lineups, you probably want some exposure to quarterback in the captain and quarterback in the flex. But if you're not, if you're only building one lineup, I might avoid doing the quarterback in captain and quarterback in flex.
What was the most winning build last year?
That's a good question. I don't
was there
have
anything specific that stood out to you?
So there was that, and then there was only 2 instances last year of the winning lineup. 1 instance each of the winning lineup being kicker captain or defense captain, which we just saw last night, another instance of the defense captain. So I guess there's another one we can add to the pool, but I thought it was kind of interesting that we only had 1 instance each of the defense and the kicker. And in both of those instances, they were lineups that use close to the full salary cap, and the winning lineup was duped so many times that, everybody took home like $10,000. So like those are pretty mega duped lineups when you use the full salary cap and use the kicker or the defense.
Interesting.
The captain. Yeah,
that's what's cool about the Sims tool too, is it shows you not only the ownership, but also the how many times it was duped in the sim.
Yeah, exactly.
In the generator. Yeah, that's really interesting. Devin, member for 6 months, free super chat. Thanks for being a member, man. Does Sauce travel with Diggs? No, he shouldn't. But the problem is that you have DJ Reed on the other side too. Like this was the best team in coverage last year in the Jets I'm referring to in the league. Sauce lined up 89%, 86% on the left side. Reed lined up 89% on the right side. So yeah, they weren't really following guys, but that's a smothering secondary for sure. It's tough to get away from that. Shit, man. Josh Allen last year. I'll just throw it out there and we can talk a little bit about Josh Allen. Then I want to get to the running backs, Neil. By no means am I saying, oh, you stay away from Josh Allen on a single game slate. I'm not saying that. What I am saying though is I'm not totally opposed to having a lot of lineups without him at the captain spot, because he last year threw for 147 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They lost that game in week 9 to the Jets. It was like 20-17 or something. Then they beat him 20-12. He threw for 205 yards. I think he had a couple rushing touchdowns in one of them, but yeah, they really limited his passing last year. It's only 2 games, understandable, but the Jets were one of the best defenses in the league, hands down. So this will be interesting to see what the game plan looks like for Josh Allen and company. They have the weapons, no doubt, but the Jets have a, top 5 run defense as well.
Right, exactly. There's no easy part of this game. Both defenses are pretty strong. We've also got the weather concerns. We have a low total in a game. Like I would expect with these offenses, you would expect the total to be a lot higher than it is. These are both pretty good offenses here. The Bills, maybe one of the top 3 offenses in the league, I would say. So the low total is a little bit concerning for the quarterbacks, but like Josh Allen is the one player that I think will get there regardless of whether there are weather concerns, because he can do it on the ground. Like if you can't throw the ball, if it's like too windy, too rainy, the ball's not coming out right, he can just start running the ball instead. So obviously feels like the safer option, the safest option, I would say, in the game. I'm going to have Josh Allen in probably 90% of my lineups overall. And, that's something that I could try to get away from if I wanted to. But honestly, I feel like Josh Allen is just like one of the safest clicks on any showdown slate, like any given time, because he has obviously the passing equity. He also has the rushing equity. So many ways for Josh Allen to score fantasy points that even with didn't do so hot against the Jets last year, he still put up a reasonable amount of fantasy points. Like his floor is still higher than anybody else in this game. So hard not to want to play some Josh Allen here.
Thought the same thing about Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson yesterday.
I gotta say, so on the main slate, 2 of the quarterbacks that I liked the best were Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts, and neither of them did anything. So maybe I just have a thing for rushing quarterbacks. I just always want to play the rushing quarterbacks. Sure. Maybe it's a flaw, but like typically they're going to put up big scores. It didn't happen this weekend. Maybe we'll go all of week 1 without any of these rushing quarterbacks being good. But I think Josh Allen is still, and like what do we need?
I'm obviously joking.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I'm kidding. Those guys do have, especially on a showdown slate, you have 1 game,
right?
And the rushing upside is significant. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So you got to ask yourself, like, what do we need from Josh Allen to be in the winning lineup? And I think it's probably like 18, 20 fantasy points, most likely, unless the game goes completely off and he somehow still doesn't get there. But that just seems so unlikely to me. Like you said, like I'm not building him into 100% of my lineups. I think you certainly, like, one way to get unique is to not play Josh Allen. He's going to be the highest owned player on the slate, but I think that he is like the safest click.
How about the running backs? This is where things get interesting, to say the least. And shout out to you guys. Almost at 250 likes already. Come on. That's fantastic stuff. We'll hit 5. I think, Neil, I know you're a pessimist. You are the Showdown Shaman, by the way. I forgot to introduce you as such. I know you're a pessimist. Generally speaking, you have no faith in the audience to get us where they need to go.
That's true.
Do you think 500 is possible?
I just don't know that they're going to be able to find that like button. Like it's the same issue that we were seeing last year. Like people just so often they click and they just like miss it by, I'm guessing inches. Like I'm guessing they're not even close to it. Maybe, I don't know what they're clicking. Maybe they're just clicking other buttons on YouTube. So yeah, I don't think we're going to get there.
Okay. I'll take the positives. I'll take the positive angle here. I'll say, I think we can do it. We're north of 300. I think we can do it.
Wow. You are really optimistic. You really have faith in our audience.
You know what I don't have faith in is some of these backfields, but I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes. Like we're going to have to get to it. James Cook, I like. I like him squaring off against his brother today. Last time that happened, Dalvin was in Minnesota. That game went to overtime, and the Vikings took the dub.
That's right.
Your Vikings took the dub.
Jets. Man, that was a good game.
Yeah, hey, they looked good yesterday, too.
Don't want to talk about it.
Eagles should have lost that game as well, but they didn't. Anyway, James Cook, I think he's going to get a decent amount of work here. My only concern is, like, is he I shouldn't say in between the 20s guy, but is he the guy that, you're seeing him out there on a decent amount of third downs? He's getting some early down work, but not all of it. And then Damian Harris comes in and gets the goal line work, because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this game ends up being relatively low scoring. Last year, it was 32 points and 37 points between these two games. Again, small sample, but maybe Damian Harris vultures a touchdown or so and gets enough work outside of that to be viable. And then on the other side, hell, Breece Hall's expected to play, but he could be limited. And we have essentially no idea what it's going to look like. If I had to give you my suspicion, it's that he is limited in this game and Dalvin Cook gets the bulk of carries. So start wherever you want. This is a weird one to break down in the backfield on both sides.
Yeah, I guess I'll start with the Bills. I think that James Cook, at least starting off, is not going to be the goal line back. I think Damian Harris, probably the guy who's going to be the goal line back. And then, of course, you got Latavius Murray, who I think is going to be getting some run as well. So, like, yeah, I'm with you. There are concerns with James Cook. I'm looking at his routes run from last year. And to be honest with you, my recollection of James Cook is not accurate. I thought that he was a better pass catcher than he is. He really was not targeted a ton in that many games. He had a few games where he was getting 4, 5, 6 targets, but not as good of a pass catcher as I thought he was.
But he was a rookie, and Singletary was also there last year, who ran the majority of routes on that team, and Singletary's gone. Damian Harris and Latavius Murray aren't exactly, pass catching prowess isn't their thing.
So you think that he takes a step forward in terms of pass catching this year?
Oh,
like, he was hyper efficient. I don't remember. Exactly
I absolutely think so. I mean, does it mean it's going to happen tonight? No, right. But who else is going to be the pass catching back?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Hopefully it is going to be James Cook. Also has obviously Josh Allen, a running quarterback, maybe doesn't throw it quite as much as a more statuesque quarterback. But yeah, so can't count on him necessarily for a ton of PPR added points. But he's an efficient running back. He was very good last year as a rookie. I think that they've talked about him, like they're hyping him up, like he is going to be the guy here in Buffalo. They want him to be their guy, but I still think that he's probably not going to be the goal line back. I mean, we've got, as we said, Damian Harris, but then also just like Josh Allen is always there. Josh Allen can always vulture the goal line touchdown. So yeah, you're hoping for some efficiency from James Cook, just long runs, hopefully busts one out, scores a touchdown from outside the red zone is best case scenario for James Cook, but I don't think that he is likely to be the goal line back. With that said, he's coming in at, what do we have, 26% projected ownership. That seems about right to me. I think that's a totally fine number for James Cook. The price is right at 8,000, and the weather, like maybe they run the ball a little bit more if there are some weather concerns here. I'll take a look at that again, how the weather is shaping up, seeing if the storms are clearing a little bit. But
it looks good. Mike Garafolo. Rain stopped here at MetLife Stadium. Clear skies arriving. Plenty of time left before kickoff.
Okay, well that is good to hear. That maybe
it should be okay.
All right, I was thinking that maybe they were going to linger, and that's part of the reason for the low total. But that is obviously encouraging if the rains are lightening up a little bit here for James Cook. Pulling up the, I'm curious actually. I said I think that it feels about right, 26% ownership, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I should bring up our single game tool, which can give me a better idea. Yeah, it sounds so. We have them at 26% ownership, 24% chance of being optimal in the utility. The ownership is about right there, and we actually have James Cook a little bit over owned in the captain spot at 6% ownership, 3% chance of being optimal. So looks a little bit better in the tools in the util, but I think you can certainly play James Cook anywhere. We've been over the concerns. I think that Latavius Murray to me is interesting at 4% ownership. I think that he's going to have some kind of role. He is active. He's probably going to get some looks. Also could play, one touchdown pays off the salary, I think at 1,000. Kind of depends on how the game ends up going, but could pay off the salary with a single touchdown. Damian Harris, 5,400. We have him at 11% ownership. I think he's fine. I think he's a fine play. Again, he scores a touchdown, probably needs a little bit. I mean, he's going to need a little bit more than a touchdown to pay off that $5,400 salary, but I think the 11% looks about right too. Let's pull up the the single game tool. Yeah, we have him at 11% ownership.
Well, while Neil rests his eyes, are you back, Neil? All right, rest your eyes. Who do you think scores that random touchdown from Rosso Music? And Neil, if you can hear me, you froze out. I didn't just interrupt you. The random touchdown, I'm going to hit these super chats for a minute before we get Neil back with his wonderful internet connection. All right, are you back?
I'm back. Was I gone? Was my internet out?
Yeah, it was you.
This has literally only happened. This has happened the last 3 shows that we've done together, Lofty. Has not happened to me at all outside
I don't know
of
what it is,
the
man.
3 shows that we've done together. Like I've done several other shows, never had this issue. I actually rebooted my computer an hour ago just to be safe. I was like, okay, I just got to make sure I turned it off for a little bit. I don't know what is going on. But
I think I just get you so hyped up to talk football that the wires start getting fried in your connection. Yeah,
you're right. My computer is like, what the hell is going on? Why is this guy getting so hyped up right now?
I was in the middle of I figured I would answer some super chats real quick while you departed. I want to rip through these real fast. All right. So Rosa Music asks, who do you think will get the random touchdown? This like Blake Bell was Thursday, but I wouldn't call that totally random with Travis Kelce out. Who knows? Deontay Harris, like Mecole Hardman, but I don't know if there's any random options. Maybe you see one of these backup tight ends behind Ty Conklin. That's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen. Like you could see a CJ Usama,
absolutely,
or something real weird, but like a Jeremy Ruckert, who knows? But I also don't think there's a good answer to this, Neil. It's just
what was the actual question? Let's see.
He's basically saying who's one of the random not tight end. What's the random touchdown? Who's going to be the random touchdown scorer today?
Yeah, so I would say Latavius Murray is like looking for the really low owned guys. Could be Latavius Murray. I don't know. Like, do you consider Deontay Hardy random? He's going to be pretty owned, so I wouldn't count him in that bucket.
Yeah, if he's talking random, I mean Hardy, we have at what 5% or no 10%?
Yeah, 11%.
So yeah, like Murray
Shakir,
or Ruckert or something like that.
I would say Trent Sherfield is up there. Khalil Shakir is up there, both at like 3% ownership. I'm looking at just the ownership. The really low owned guys who I think have a real shot.
Shakir wouldn't be random. He's just overpriced relative to Hardy.
True, and yeah, but he is coming in very low owned there at the very least. But Sherfield kind of random, and I think that he's actually Sherfield is running ahead of Shakir. Like all of the news has Sherfield running ahead of Shakir. I don't know if that's accurate. That's one of those things that's like it's hard to know week 1. Like I feel like this is the week that is hardest to play DFS because we know less than we're going to know going forward. But the rumors are that Sherfield is actually playing ahead of Shakir, and he's 200, and he's 3% ownership. So Sherfield might be my like favorite of the really low owned guys. But like you said, I think Uzama is a good call. 7% projected ownership looks pretty good. I think I'd go there before. I don't think I'm playing any Jeremy Ruckert. Maybe I just don't know anything about Jeremy Ruckert, but just a guy that I don't really know. I'm pretty sure he's the 3rd string tight end. I'd rather just play one of the top 2 guys with Uzama only getting 7% ownership himself.
Jorge gifted 50 subs. You're the man, Jorge, and we love you around this way. Make sure to say thank you if you got one of those. Jorge finished 9th in the Millie Maker yesterday.
Yeah, he did. That was a great lineup.
Using the stochastic lineup simulator as well. That made me feel pretty good.
Yeah, love to see it when people use the tools and they place really high or win a tournament. That's the best.
Yeah, he was 9th out of what was it, like 1+ million?
Yeah, right. Man, I didn't think about that.
He was 9th out of 1+ million.
Yeah, I forgot that was how many people were in that contest. That is insane. Yeah,
north of $1 million. $5. Jacob Pierce, free super chat. See, that's the cool thing about being a member around these ways. You can join if you want. Down below, right where the right around where the thumbs up button is, which Neil is 24 away from 500. We will smash that number.
Nah, I don't think we're gonna get 24 is a lot to ask from this audience, Lofty.
Jacob Pierce said, which Cook brother do you want to play or do you play tonight? Here's something fascinating. You look at our single game top plays tool, right, over at Stochastic. We have both of them around 5%, 5.5% captain ownership. We have both of them at 25% utility ownership. Both of them are like 3% top overall player probability, 2 to 6% likelihood. They're both 30%. Same optimal utility and same leverage at -4%. So the real answer, if you're using the tools, and I actually think this would be the case too, is either of them. They're basically the same price. Yeah. I personally like Dalvin Cook a little bit more because I think there's a real chance that Breece Hall's super limited, which would mean that Dalvin Cook's getting all that goal line work. And the run defense for Buffalo is not as stout as the Jets. So my personal lean would be Dalvin Cook over James Cook, but the tools have them pretty similar today.
And I can't really add anything that is valuable information. Like I agree. Like the tools seem about right. Your assessment seems right. Like it's kind of a toss up. Sure, slightly in toward Dalvin Cook. I don't. He's also 200 cheaper, so I guess that's one more bonus point for Dalvin Cook. But honestly, I don't have a strong lean between those two. I think it's pretty similar situations. They even look alike.
That's weird,
right? Who would have guessed?
I wonder why. Sammy Telesco, what's up, Sammy? He asked, and Neil, you can handle this one. We got a lot to get through. So Dalvin Cook captain in a single entry lineup and one in a 3 max. So I guess he's saying Dalvin Cook captain in that one single entry and then one Dalvin Cook captain lineup in a 3 max.
Yeah, I think that's totally fine. You don't need to correlate when you get the running back in the captain spot, so that's an added bonus. We have Dalvin Cook at 5%. We do have him slightly over owned, 5% ownership, 3% chance of being the optimal captain. But I also think in like single entry, ownership condenses around the higher owned guys, and Dalvin Cook is not one of those guys. So we might actually go like fair ownership in single entry kind of thing. And yeah, like he's as live as anybody to score 2 touchdowns. As you said, he could be the goal line back there for the Jets. I think that Breece Hall is limited. Again, that's another thing. Like we don't fully know how limited Breece Hall is going to be, but all of the news coming out is saying Dalvin Cook is the guy week 1. So yeah, I think that's totally fine. Captain play.
Jose Morales, thanks for the super chat, man. And Hector said, you guys are amazing. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
Dave, give me your game script. Look, first of all, who the hell knows? But
true.
You can try. And I'll always try and build lineups for different game scripts. I never want to go into it with the mindset that like one thing's going to happen because football is weird. Look at the Rams yesterday. The hyped up Seattle Seahawks in front of the 12th man just gets shit on from the sky. There were a lot of those games, right? Pittsburgh, I thought, could stay remotely competitive. Got the brakes beat off of them at home in week 1. A lot of weird games. But if you're asking me, which you are, I think this could be a low scoring game. I think Josh Allen's going to have to do more with his legs, even if they're trying to limit him. I think, Aaron, I kind of like the Jets money line in this game. I do.
You taking the under?
Well, I took the under at 46.5.
And now it's at 44.5?
44.5. So that's tough because you're getting to like 24 to 21 games. Yeah. You're getting the 24-20 games, that type of thing. So like key numbers aren't as big when it comes to that. But at the same time, that's one that I would probably just stay away from at 44. I mean, like 24 to 20 is fine. You're getting on there. But the 24-21 type games, it's not a number I like as much. But I think this could be a low scoring game. I do. 535 likes, by the way. You guys truly are the best. I mean that. Here's one for you, Neil, from Zachary. These are great questions because this is stuff we would have talked about anyway. Should help everybody. Zachary, what's up, Zachary? Member for 10 months. Is there negative leverage with Hardy? Thanks, fellas.
That's a good question. That's I'm going to look at the tool. So he's coming at 11% ownership, which to me strikes me as totally fine. He is I think the number 3 receiver coming in. We've got him at we actually have positive leverage.
We really don't know. That's the crazy thing, right? Like whether it's
exactly. It's so hard. Week 1 is the toughest week in my opinion for DFS. We're projecting him for 11% ownership and 13% chance of being optimal in the util, and also 1% ownership, 2% chance of being optimal in the captain. So we actually have positive leverage on Hardy in the tools. Honestly, I thought his ownership was going to be higher than this. He's been talked about a little bit around the industry. I know in best ball, people were drafting him throughout the summer. Not always. He was definitely not in every draft pick in best ball, but a lot of people were really in on Hardy. No, I think 11% is probably fair. I don't think he comes in higher than 15%. I think I would be a little bit surprised if he does. So I think that the ownership is about right there. I think if he does come in at 11%, as I said, we have some positive leverage on Hardy here.
What's up, Jamal Parker with a super chat, $10. Thanks, man. What's up, Neil and Dave? When using the Sims tool, should I up the ROI on players in the captain MVP spot that are lower exposure that I'm getting or should I just trust the process and leave it alone? I try not to do too much. Like I'm definitely, the one thing I'm trying to do is field size. Like if the $15 single entry I really like, I think it's the bubble screen that they always have on DraftKings. It's around 5,000 people. I'm making sure that when I'm in the contest generator to be running, generating 5,000 lineups and paying close attention to that. Are you tweaking any of these settings significantly when you're simulating and generating these lineups in the lineup sim?
Not usually, unless there's a player that I'm like much higher on than our tools are, which happens occasionally. There will be a player that I'm like, I kind of like the idea of, and then I'll up that player. But I don't think I'm reading in the player in the captain or MVP spot that are lower exposure that I'm getting, or should I just trust it? I would say in general, just trust the process is usually, and if you have reason to believe that like maybe there's a player who you like better than we like, and that player is coming in low owned, then yeah, you could give him a tiny little boost. I wouldn't go overboard with it. I would say in general, trust the process, but maybe tweak here and there to make sure you're entering lineups that you like, that you feel comfortable with ultimately. And I think you'll be fine. But yeah, I wouldn't go overboard boosting and neg boosting with players that are like off the board.
Maverick said, isn't Shakir number 3 receiver? We don't know. Like the depth charts are going to tell you one thing, but we have no idea until we actually see what this game looks like. That's the God's honest truth. We can you could say whatever, like on Thursday, you can say what you want that you expected Rashee Rice to have that type of game. First of all, I think he only played 19 snaps.
I got some shit for that. He immediately scores a touchdown. I immediately get tweeted at by multiple people. Neil, the guy you listed last of the Kansas City receivers, and they were both being good natured about it. But it was like, I'm aware.
But it was hard. That's a tough one to figure out, man. It really, like they always are. They had 7 active receivers that day. Look, I'm making no excuses. I'm just saying sometimes the answer is I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Deontay Hardy's number 3 on the depth chart, but what does that actually mean? I don't know. Are you drinking a breakfast beer?
I'm actually drinking a pumpkin beer. Here, I'll show you what I'm drinking.
Okay.
I don't drink a ton of pumpkin beer, but I went to the fancy liquor store because they have the 10 milligram THC drinks a little bit cheaper than anywhere else in town. But then I saw this pumpkin beer and I thought that's kind of interesting. And I like talked about it with the owners there, and they're like, this is by far the best pumpkin beer. People love this beer. So I decided to give it a shot. And it's pretty good. It's, a little bit sweet. It is definitely pumpkin-y, but I'm enjoying it.
Nice. Well, let's talk about wide receivers here. I think we already hit on a lot of them. Like, I don't know how much further we need to dig into the wide receiver 3 spot for Buffalo. We talked about that. You just answered that question on Hardy. Trent Sherfield, definitely at the same price as Hardy, not knowing who's going to get the targets here makes a whole lot of sense at minimum salary.
Big fan of Sherfield. I'll add that just because I think
sure.
As you said, like we don't know, and he's coming in at 3% ownership at 200 and very much could be involved here. So I like Sherfield quite a bit for the ownership.
And also Khalil Shakir. Pete Warner said, I will say I nailed my take on how the Lions are going to utilize Gibbs. You were right, which is insane that you were right, because he was wildly efficient. Dude, he had more missed tackles forced on 7 carries than any other running back in the league in week 1. That is insane.
He looked so good. He looked so much better than David Montgomery to me. It was pretty funny how little they used Jahmyr Gibbs in that game.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. All right, what are you doing with Garrett Wilson's my boy. I love that. I think he's going to be a true stud in this league for years to come, and I hope that he can get a couple good years out of Rodgers to give him the Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson treatment, But there's him, there's Diggs, and all of these guys have tough matchups, okay? Yeah. Same with Gabe Davis. I know Matt Gajewski was low on him this morning. And then you're getting into the Allen Lazards, the Mecole Hardmans, the Randall Cobbs. Again, wide receiver 3 for Buffalo. Take that off the table. We discussed that. Let's get to the guys we haven't hit on yet.
At wide receiver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying take the wide receiver 3 competition between those 3 guys, Hardy, Sherfield, and Shakir, off the table because we already discussed it. Let's hit on the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, Diggs, even with the tough matchup, I think Diggs is the pretty clear wide receiver 1 here. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that. We do have Diggs projected a fair amount better than Garrett Wilson. I think that they're the better offense. But I think Garrett Wilson, as you said, very, very talented. It'll be fun to see what he can do this year with a real quarterback. Like, this is just like the biggest upgrade you could possibly have at quarterback or close to it. What an upgrade for this New York offense. So I think Diggs is the number one for me, followed by Garrett Wilson. Gabe Davis is an interesting, like he disappointed us all last year. Like he was being drafted in the third round in best ball all summer. And then he came out, was great week one. It looked like a great pick. And then he was pretty disappointing the rest of the year. Well, all offseason, they've been saying that he was actually playing through an injury last year. And I think that there's some possibility that that's the case. And even if it wasn't, I think that it may have been a little bit fluky how poorly Gabe Davis ended up playing last year. I don't think that he's like a world beating receiver, but I think in this offense as a wide receiver too, he could have a much better year than he had last year. I think the 25% ownership looks about right, but looking at the single game tool, yeah, we've got him at 25% ownership, 25% chance of being optimal in the util. So Gabe Davis looking right on, like the util looks like he's getting exactly the amount of ownership that he should at 25%. He actually looks like he has more positive leverage in the captain spot, which kind of makes sense if Gabe Davis has a big game. You know, he's a guy who can break a slate. We've got him at 7% captain ownership, 8% chance of being optimal. The price is right for Gabe Davis, cheaper than, you know, either of the Cook brothers, cheaper than the other alpha receivers. So I think Gabe Davis certainly interesting in play there for Buffalo. As you said, we already talked about the kind of tertiary options among the Bills receivers. Among the Jets receivers, it's, as we said, clearly Garrett Wilson, number one. It is, I think, Allen Lazard. He's listed as the number two. I think that he's probably the number two receiver there for the Jets. And then from there, it gets a little bit complicated. I think Randall Cobb, probably the wide receiver three for the Jets. He's, you know, Aaron Rodgers loves him. He seems to be the guy. I think he was listed ahead of Mecole Hardman on the depth chart. Mecole Hardman, to me, is the more talented receiver. Like, it's a mistake to have Randall Cobb at 33 years old ahead of Mecole Hardman, but that is the way it's listed on the depth chart. So at least for this week, I'm kind of trusting that it's going to be Randall Cobb as the wide receiver three. We've got him a little bit over-owned, though, 11% ownership, 10% chance of being optimal. He's 3,400. The price is right for Randall Cobb. Another one of those, just like he's too cheap for his presumed role in this offense. As the wide receiver three, he should be higher priced than 3,400. But there you have it. And then, yeah, Mecole Hardman, 3,000, I think is more talented. Certainly might end up playing ahead of Randall Cobb. Wouldn't be too shocking if he did. What do we have? Do we have any other Jets receivers we're talking about? Let me see. I don't think so. I think it's just those four from the Jets. I think it's Wilson, Lazard, Cobb, Hardman, and the bottom two, I think, is, you know, kind of a we don't really know who's going to be the wide receiver three there, but I think both are in play.
All right. I'm running some sims right now to get these lineups in, Neil. And if you guys are interested in checking out the sim tool, the one that helped Jorge take down $11,000, ninth in a 1 million person contest yesterday over on DraftKings, there's two ways to do it. All right. The first way to do it, you sign up on Owner's Box. $500 first match deposit bonus, which, by the way, I had to figure out how to convert that. And then somebody showed me. So you have that deposit bonus. Okay. You can convert those Owner's Bucks into cash. Just click on your profile, and then on the left side, you can see it. It's like, oh, okay. Because I had no idea how to do that. Keep that in mind. They have 6 Superflex contests. They had a $50,000 up top, $200,000 prize pool for their flagship contest yesterday. It went to 80%. So you're getting overlay there for sure. You're getting in up to $500 deposit bonus. But if you wanted to get our Sims tool for free for the entirety of the week, now, of course, if you were to do that today, you're getting Monday Night Football, you're getting Thursday Night Football, you're getting Sunday. You know, you're getting a whole bunch of days, a whole bunch of slates, including the afternoon slate, main slate, and everything. I used it for the afternoon slate and had a great afternoon. After an okay main slate. But if you want to get in, the link is in the description and in chat. Superflex DFS contest, totally different than what anyone else is doing. No one's innovating anymore. Get the deposit bonus and get the free week of our Stochastic Sims Max package. That's $199 value for the month. So, you know, for the week, it's an awesome value. We'll email you within 24 hours to get you set up. So you wouldn't be able to do it tonight, but still you'd have Thursday, Sunday, all the slates on Sunday, including Showdown afternoon, whatever. And you're getting the contest generator. You're getting the Sims tool. Make quality plus EV lineup building easier than you've ever done in your life. You click some buttons. You can make some adjustments if you want, but you're in. You get our ownership projections, player projections, top stack, boom, bust, all of that stuff. Premium Discord access, lineup generator, all of our tools, all of our data. for free for the entirety of the week. Sign up and deposit over there on Owner's Box. Now, my recommendation, always take advantage of the highest amount on a bonus that you can. But even if you only have $10 to deposit, you're still getting in. You're still getting access to all of our NFL tools. And let's say you want more than that. You want a month. We've never discounted this before, but we're doing 15% off the Sims Max package and the Sims Data package, which is the same thing. You just can't generate as many lineups. So it's just a limited version of that. Links to that in the description and in chat. Whatever you guys want. Discounts on all of it to kick off the football season. We got you covered. So Owner's Box or the links for 15% off for the entirety of the month. All that down there in chat and the description. Let's talk about tight ends because I'm not sure where to go here, Neil. Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid's not exactly cheap. Knox is $400 cheaper, but Kincaid's the more hyped up guy, rookie, early drafted tight end. A lot of pass catching chops. We'll see how he's utilized. Matt seems to think they could start going to a lot of 12 personnel, which would mix things up a lot and change a lot for receivers on top of that. And then Tyler Conklin with Rucker and Usama behind him. Are you high on any of these tight ends today?
I think they all have negative leverage in the tools, or at least I guess I'm just looking at the Bills guys to start. So yeah, it's really interesting. So I think Knox is probably like he's going to play more than Dalton Kincaid, but Dalton Kincaid also like plays kind of a hybrid tight end / slot receiver role. It's really interesting, really tough. I was anticipating that Dalton Kincaid was going to come in much higher owned than Dawson Knox. That's not really the case. We've got Dawson Knox coming in at 12% ownership, Dalton Kincaid at 15. I guess I'd say I think that it's more likely that Dalton Kincaid's ownership is higher than we're anticipating than Dawson Knox. I think that Dawson Knox, and maybe I'm like overestimating the field a little, or the field's like being tapped into things. Like maybe the field just remembers Dawson Knox. Maybe the average NFL fan doesn't know who Dalton Kincaid is. So maybe I'm completely wrong about this. But I think in general, the average NFL fan, or at least the average fantasy football player, has been seeing hype about Dalton Kincaid all offseason, wants to play Dalton Kincaid. My guess is that he comes up higher than the 15% ownership we have him projected for, which makes me more interested in Dawson Knox. I kind of think that he's kind of the unsexy veteran pick who's just as likely, maybe even more likely to score a touchdown than Dalton Kincaid. So I'd say my preference of those two is Dawson Knox, just for the non-sexy factor and the touchdown possibility at low ownership. But again, in our tools, it actually does not say that. We actually have both of them a little bit over-owned, with Dalton Kincaid 15% ownership, 12% chance of being optimal. Dawson Knox 12% ownership, 8% chance of being optimal. Neither looks great. I just think, like, intuitively to me, it's more likely that Dalton Kincaid gets that hype rather than Dawson Knox. So I would rather play Dawson Knox at what I would think is going to be fairly, like, maybe not really significantly, but at least a little bit of reduced ownership there. And then Tyler Conklin.
Real quick, Zach Everhart said, I'm playing both tight ends, Laffy, in some lineups tonight.
Yeah.
I feel like Kincaid plays a utility position and doesn't line up at tight end hardly at all. You could see some weird stuff with Kincaid. They've definitely talked about lining him up in spots outside of just tight end. So I don't think that's crazy, Zach. I really don't. Go ahead, Neil.
Actually, let me just correct something because I'm reading chat. Mark asked, how often last year was there a defense in the winning lineup? It was they were only the optimal captain once out of 36 times. They were in there more times than I didn't count it out. Maybe I'll do that analysis on some future date. But no, it was more than 1 out of 36. 1 out of 36. It was just 1 out of 36 in the captain spot. But yeah, Tyler Conklin, we have at, looks like he's about as owned as he should be. We have him slightly under-owned in the captain spot, slightly over-owned in the util spot, but ultimately it washes out to being he's about neutral. Like, we've got him at 17% ownership in the util, at 16% chance of being optimal, 2% ownership in the captain with a 3% chance of being optimal. He's 4,800. The price is right for Tyler Conklin. I think that he's a totally fine click. Like, on any of these tight ends, well, maybe any except for Dalton Kincaid. Like, Dalton Kincaid does have, I think he's the one who has a chance to get there without a touchdown. Like, if he does come in and he's immediately targeted more than we're anticipating. So I will say that for Dalton Kincaid, he has that out of, like, yeah, maybe he really is a slot receiver who's just going to catch, 6 balls for 50 yards and doesn't necessarily need a touchdown. Whereas I think all these other tight ends are pretty much touchdown dependent. So I think they're all in play. Dawson Knox, Tyler Conklin, and then CJ Uzomah, same thing. Like, I don't think he's getting there without a touchdown. We have slight negative leverage on CJ Uzomah, but 7% ownership, 6% chance of being optimal, and he's only 800. He's the kind of player that you can play in there and leave some salary on the table. So I think that all of these tight ends are perfectly reasonable plays. I think my favorite is probably Dawson Knox, followed by maybe Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzama, more of just a leverage play in a large field GPP. And then Dalton Kincaid, he's certainly a fun play. I want to play Dalton Kincaid too. I'm going to be playing some Dalton Kincaid, but I kind of think that he's going to go higher owned than we're anticipating because of the fun rookie factor.
I want to get to some strategy talk here. So, and by the way, shout out to you guys. Almost at 600 likes today. We are in business, to say the least. Thank you.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, appreciate you guys deciding to hang out with us, staying here and hanging out on the Stochastic channel. With kickers and defenses, we saw the Dallas defense yesterday. Wow, what a performance that was. Also, if you can't protect your quarterback, and the Giants could never protect Daniel Jones, that's just what happens. That team was so fluky last year. But besides the point, kickers today, defenses today, it looks like the rain is letting up and we should be okay. I will say I like anything you want to get to as far as kickers or defenses go. If this does happen to be a low scoring game, yes, there's a lot of star, marquee type players going to be out there today. It doesn't mean you can't play them too. It just means that I'm not sleeping on kickers or defenses in this spot either.
First, before I cover the defenses and kickers, because I think you just covered it pretty well. I think they're all very much in play. My hot take is Daniel Jones is a buy right now. In any kind of fantasy format where you can trade for Daniel Jones, I think that he's a buy. I do think maybe last year was a little bit fluky. I also think that kind of the rain played into it and they just lost all momentum. And by the end, they just were kind of out of it. I feel like going forward, they're going to correct things and at least be a lot better than they were last night. But maybe that's a hot take.
It depends if they're facing a good pass rush or not. Well, yeah. Honestly, if you're facing a good pass rush, a good defensive front, they're not going to be good. But if they're facing a team that doesn't have because Dallas is, cream of the crop in that respect, they're going to eat them up every single time. Daniel Jones led the team in rushing. He had 13 attempts, not because they wanted him to, but because he was running for his life.
Yeah, I know. But I do think the weather plays, it was pouring. I think that does play a little bit more of a role. People weren't really talking about the rain at all. I do think that affects different players differently. Maybe it affects Daniel Jones. Maybe it affects the offensive line a little bit more. I don't know.
The Cowboys playing Cowboys can close the roof.
It's bizarre. It was in New York, and the Giants were the ones struggling. Maybe I'm overestimating the amount that it was affecting them. Yeah, you're right. It was obviously, but I think it was a combination of factors, facing that really tough Dallas rush defense and the rain on top of it. I think that they were just out of sorts all game and never found their footing.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be.
Yeah. It just unraveled from the jump.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I think there are going to be at least spots where Daniel Jones is going to have some really good games. And maybe I'm coping a little bit because I drafted a lot of Daniel Jones in best ball, but honestly, I think that one game sample is not going to scare me away from him just yet. But yes, I agree with you. Kickers and defenses. I'm looking at both defenses right now, positive alert. We have the Bills coming in 19% util ownership, 23% chance of being optimal, 4% captain ownership, 5% chance of being optimal. Jets similarly 18% util ownership, 21% chance of being optimal, 4% captain ownership, 6% chance of being optimal. I will say this: I'm disinclined to play the defenses at captain today for one thing, because we just saw the defensive captain win last night. It's possible they get a little bit more steam because of that. But another thing, I think when the defenses in this game are optimal, it's going to be in games where a lot of the highest scoring players go off, and it's going to be in games where you're using most of the salary cap. And in those scenarios, you're not making as much money when you win with the defense at kicker. So defenses are in the captain spot. So I'm disinclined to play the defenses and captain here, despite the leverage, just because I think that it's going to be typically in more duped lineups winning in those cases. So, maybe I could be completely wrong about that, but that is my inclination, is to not really play them in the captain spot, maybe play them more in the util.
I'm with you on that, by the way.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. What do you think about kickers in the captain? Do you feel the same way about kickers? I kind of do. I think it's a similar thing, but I'm not.
Yes, I still do. I'm still looking at this as a spot where no matter how much I like the defenses and kickers, there's still so many good players that I think could still be tough for kickers or defense to be optimal in a spot like this. Could it happen? Certainly. I'm not getting to much of that though.
Is there somebody Demetrius just asked, is there a referral code with owner's box? Is there, or is it
Yeah, I mean the link. So for owner's box to get the free week of our Sims package, all of our tools, the link will work. You don't need a promo code for that. If for some reason the link isn't working, use the promo code Stochastic1, STOKASTIC1, all one word, all caps. But the link should get you there. Yeah.
I'm just seeing an old friend in chat, and that's the reason I'm laughing. An old friend who doesn't watch our shows has showed up to watch this show.
Oh, how about that?
That's fun.
Blowing up, Neil.
We're blowing up. All right, good. Mike put the link in chat for owner's box.
Sweet. And also Caesars is bet 50, get $250 in bonus bets. Take advantage of free money when it's thrown at you. Caesars trying to get step their game up around these ways. Trying to take on FanDuel and DraftKings on the online sports betting front. It hasn't been particularly easy, but whether you win this or lose this, you got $250 in bonus bets coming your way. 5 different $50 bets. You can do whatever the hell you want with them, as long as you're 21 years or older. And as long as if you have a gambling problem, you make the decision to call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Have at it, friends. Someone walks up to you and says, hey, I got 250. Give me 50. You'd think it was odd. But eventually you would say, okay, here's 50. And you get 250 and you're in business. Link in the description and chat for that. That's a great deal, dude. 50 into 250, win or lose.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, now you're on multiple sports books as well. So you're not just getting the shit odds. You're actually shopping around and making that decision. Turn your ad blocker off if you're clicking on that as well, because it wasn't working for me when I did before. Let's build a lineup to wrap this one up, Neil. Give me your captain. Where are you going?
I'm just I'm responding to a couple super chats. So Shamar asked, Allen and Diggs or Rodgers and Wilson. It's Allen and Diggs for me. Did you answer that one already, Dave?
No, I didn't. But I love both of those. But I would like to get all of those guys.
And then Anthony Masilli, favorite FanDuel leverage captain. For me, it would be Gabe Davis. We have him at just 3.6% ownership, 4.7% chance to be an optimal. I think that Gabe Davis, like you're looking for somebody who has the chance to be the highest scoring player on the slate. I think Gabe Davis clearly fits that bill. Do you like anybody better for FanDuel MVP?
No, I'm with you there. I mean, FanDuel, less nuance. I'm going for who I project to be the highest scoring guys, that can put up the biggest numbers on a slate like this. So Neil, once again, resting his eyes. It's an odd time to do that, given that we have 3 minutes until the show's over. Then he can snooze his life away. But I assume we will wait till he returns to build a lineup. If not, I'll just talk for a minute or two, and then we'll be out of here regardless. But if you guys have any other questions, throw them out there. If you have questions about the Sims tool and you're new to using it, throw that out there. I'm always happy to help with that, so you don't, run into any unforeseen mistakes. Just make sure you're getting the lineups in a little bit early, so you're not in the position where you start freaking out and you're panicking, trying to upload everything to CSV. Test the process out. All right, Neil, you're back. Who are you going with at captain?
We're talking DraftKings?
Yeah.
DraftKings captain. Let's go with maybe Gabe Davis on DraftKings too. Let's try that out.
By the way, I just simmed these and I went 10,000 lineups for this one because the Millie's like 40% to first, something stupid.
Yeah.
And the highest simulated ROI lineup has the Bills defense at captain. So
okay.
I stand corrected. Who are you going with?
Gabe Davis.
All right. I will go with, I'm going to go Garrett Wilson.
I want to go Trent Sherfield.
Okay. Do another one real quick for me because I'm trying to.
Can we go with your boy Delvin Cook? Or you want me to buy time? I guess I'm not buying you time by going there that quickly.
I mean, that wasn't optimal, but we're
that was a little bit too quick. I was just taking over and taking the guy that you want to. All right,
I'm done. I'm good.
All right. Good.
I mean, not that it really matters. We got 57 seconds left, but sure. How much time do we have? How much salary do we have for two players? Do we have just Allen or do we have Rat? Doesn't matter, man. We got 30 seconds. Yeah. Neil, how about this? Give me your hottest take for tonight before we get out of here. Sorry, guys, we ran into a little bit of something there. Give me your hottest take for tonight's slate. Who breaks it? Who wins the Millie? Who's the one player that wins the Millie?
Trent Sherfield. I already went with. I already mentioned Trent. Put him in the lineup.
I like it. That's your guy.
Yeah. Do you have one?
I so badly want to say it's going to be one of these defenses. I'm
all right.
Like, I don't love it. It's just a weird game, man, between two really good defenses. And it seems like all people are talking about are the offensive players, which, makes sense, right? But you got Sherfield. I mean, that would really be the answer. I don't think like Ruckert or CJ Usama are going to be breaking the slate here. Garrett Wilson's the guy I'll have my eye on the most. I think this could be one of those insane Garrett Wilson games. Who knows? Maybe it's Mecole Hardman. I don't think it's going to be Randall Cobb. Now I'm just setting myself up for failure, saying everyone I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing, Laffy?
I don't know, man. Hey, go enjoy that beer. Follow Neil at PlayerQDFS, me at Laffy_D on Twitter. Our handles are right under. Or sorry, where, Neil?
Yeah, you can find me on the X
on the X. That's right, baby. All right. Thanks, guys. You're the best. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning. First Look NFL Strategy Show. Ben Ross and myself. Then we got the podcast exclusive single entry and 3-max conversation. We keep that under 30 minutes. It's been a blast. So sign up on our podcast, review that, rate it, all that good shit. Just make sure you're there so you can catch these podcast exclusive that we're doing a couple times a week. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks, Jorge. Shout out to you in that big win. We'll see you guys back here soon. Peace.